What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my NASCAR cheat sheet video for the Quaker State 400. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another NASCAR cheat sheet video. This time we are breaking down the Quaker State 400 at Kentucky. 267 laps. We're going to need 2 to 3 dominators at this race. Really looking forward to it. Really looking to bounce back after the insane week last week. I mean, all the chalk pretty much busted besides Kevin Harvick, which was my number one play, so that did stop a lot of the bleeding. But other than that, there's like 15 cars that wrecked. It felt like Talladega or Daytona, and the big one was actually on pit road last week. I mean, you just don't see that too often, so I don't think that's going to happen here. This last week was insane. Hopefully we can definitely bounce back from it. If anybody survived that, I mean, that's pretty insane to survive that. Like, all of the chalk plays busted besides Kevin Harvick, but even then, it was still really hard to succeed last week. So moving on from that, we need practice back, by the way. That was just a mixture of no practice, and we just need practice back. So hopefully we get it back soon. I use practice a lot to help me see who's fast that week and who's not. So it just makes it a little bit tougher, but everybody's dealing with this. And then of course, the drivers would like some practice back as well. Especially guys like Kyle Busch, Truex, guys that aren't doing too good right now. They could use some practice. So hopefully we get that back soon. But DraftKings did a great job at pricing this week, as good as they could do. We still got Bell up there at 11,200, but other than that, not bad. Some guys a little bit overpriced, some guys a little bit underpriced, but really can't complain. And I also want to mention, this is still a great time to get in on Patreon. $5 a month. You get the sheet you see here with the driver info, track history, track history for the career, track type, current form, and I'm working on getting the current form for the last 15 races on there as well. And then you got the targets, projections, the rankings, the cash line, single lineup, optimizer, and then my Discord as well. So lots of good stuff on there. $5 a month. Now is still a great time to sign up. If you guys are interested in the all sports, would be another good time to sign up because of the MMA coming up this week. That's a good option as well. All sports is $15. Gets the 4 sports I cover. One's not going on right now, NFL, but MMA, PGA, and NASCAR. All right, so breaking down this driver by driver, we will start with Kevin Harvick, 11,600. So there are plays on here that are great track history plays, and then there are plays up in this tier that are great recent form plays, and Kevin Harvick was one of the recent form guys that we really got to look at here. In his past 6 races, average finish of 9.17 with 2 wins, 3 top 5s, 98 laps led, driver rating of 107.1, which is the second best on the slate. Harvick has been fantastic. He's going to have that number 1 pit stall. He is starting 3rd. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he dominated some of this race. He's more than capable. He has been very, very good this year. He's doing things that I expected Kyle Busch to do this year. Has been really, really solid. He does not have a win here in his career. He has 1 top 5. He's only led 128 laps. So this is not the best track history wise. He's 11,600. I think that's going to drive off some ownership for sure. I don't think many people are going to want to play Kevin Harvick, but I'm definitely looking at him as a GPP play just because of how dominant he has been this season. He's been very good. Like I said, he's doing things that I expected Kyle Busch to do this year. But do not mind Kevin Harvick at all. It's not like a core play, but I will for sure have some. Christopher Bell, I played him last week as a GPP play. This week, probably not going to touch it because we are going to need dominators this race. 267 laps to dominate. I do think we need 2 to 3 dominators. And Bell's not going to dominate any laps. Maybe he gets a top 10. But don't really think, even if he gets a top 10, I don't think it's going to be enough to get in the winning lineup at 11,200. He's going to get that place differential. But, even if he does, we want guys that are going to dominate. Current form, Bell average finish of 20 in his last 6 races. Would be very surprised if he got a top 10. It's possible, but just don't see it happening and just don't really want to risk that. Denny Hamlin, 10,900. Like I said, there are guys that we want to look at for track history, and there are guys that we want to look at for current form. Denny Hamlin is another current form guy. Looking at his current form in his last 6 races, Denny Hamlin average finish of 10 with 2 wins, 233 laps led, which is second best on the slate, and then a driver rating of 113.8. Hamlin has been very, very solid as of late. He's never won here. He has 4 top 5s in 9 races. He is starting 12th, so he's going to have a little bit of place differential. And would I be surprised if he did dominate some laps? No, not at all. He has dominated 81 laps in his 9 races in his career. Would not be surprised if he did get up there at some point. He's just been very, very good. We'll look at the track type history here. In 40 of the races, he has 5 wins, which looks to be about the 4th best on the slate. 18 top 20, 18 top 5s, 24 top 10s, 34 top 20s. 733 laps led, which looks like it's the 4th best on the slate as well. So, yeah, don't mind Hamlin. Not someone I'm going to go out of my way to get. Could see him potentially dominating, but I'm more interested in probably Harvick with that number 1 pit stall and how good he's been, and Kyle Busch and some other guys I'll get into. But Hamlin's a decent GPP option. I'm not going to fade him or anything like that. Chase Elliott starting 8th. I don't hate it. But there's just, I'd rather go up and get Harvick. I'd rather go down and get Kyle Busch and some other guys we'll get to in a second. But I don't hate it. I think he'll do fine. It's just I don't really expect him to get up there and dominate laps. In 4 races, he has not led a lap, and he has only 1 top 5 in 4 races. I expect him to do well, probably finish in that top 10, but really not expecting him to go out there and dominate this race. Kyle Busch starting 1st. I mean, this is the time. This is the time. I said it earlier in the year, like one of these races he's going to pop off. He finally did, like a while ago. He was on the optimal lineup. I think he's been on the optimal lineup like once or twice, which is not very Kyle Busch-like. He's 10,100. We are not used to seeing this. But Kyle Busch has not been good at all. And this is what really concerns me. Kyle Busch average finish is 17.6 in his last 6 races. He has not been Kyle Busch-like, and it's very concerning because of how good of a play he is. The price is fantastic. The track history is absolutely fantastic. Average finish of 3.67 in his last 3 races here, with 3 top 5s, his worst finish being 5, 184 laps led, which is the 2nd best, and 125.4 driver rating, which is the 2nd best. He's been fantastic here, and also really good at these 1.5-mile tracks as well. With 4 wins in his past 43 races, 1,598 laps led, which is the 3rd best on the whole slate. It's just the problem is he has not been good this year. He needs that practice. So this play is a little bit concerning because he is going to be chalky. Obviously, he's a fantastic play, but I am very, very worried that he starts 1st. There's going to be a competition caution, I'm guessing around lap 20, 25. What if he loses that lead and does not get back to the 1st position, finishes like outside the top 5 like he has been? That wouldn't be good at 10,100. We need guys that are going to dominate. And on paper, perfect play, but it really worries me. But it's really hard not to play Kyle Busch this week. If you want to take a stand and fade him, I don't hate it. But I'm going to roll with him, and hopefully he gets it together. He's starting on the pole, keep the lead, dominate some laps, finish in the top 5, get on the optimal lineup. I like him a lot. Hopefully he gets it together this race. Ryan Blaney is somebody I really like playing, starting 11th, but this week probably not going to have much. I think he can definitely succeed. He's been very good this year. Very surprising how good he's been. 9,800. We're going to want dominators. Don't really see him dominating this race, so probably not going to have too much Blaney, but he's fine for a top 10. Joey Logano starting 2nd. This guy doesn't have the best track history. Average finish of 8.3 with 3 top 10s. His best finish being 7th. And then looking at his career history here, no wins, 2 top 5s in 9 races. Average finish of 12.8. But we got to check his current form here. Joey Logano starting 2nd. He's been leading laps. I don't know what it is. There are times whenever everybody else is pitting, Joey's not pitting. He's doing these weird strategies where he gets up there and he does dominate. 319 laps led in his last 6 races, which is the best on the slate. So I would not be surprised at all if we saw Joey Logano go up there and dominate. And his ownership's probably going to be pretty low because you have guys around him like Truex, Keselowski, Kyle Busch that are all better plays on paper. But Joey's been going out there and dominating. So starting 2nd, maybe after that competition caution, if they pit, maybe Joey, pulls a pitting strategy and doesn't pit, takes 2 tires, takes no tires, something crazy like that, like we have been seeing, and he gets up there and dominates. It's just been very, very weird. Like it seems like it's almost every race Joey gets up there and dominates some part of the race. So 9,600, not a core player or anything, but somebody I'm definitely looking at because I do think he can dominate some of this race. Clint Bowyer, starting 15th, don't love it at all. Maybe he gets a top 10. He has 1 top 10 in his last 3 races. Just don't see him dominating, and we have dominators all around him, so don't really see much reason to play Clint Bowyer here. Martin Truex Jr. starting ninth. I mean, I like this play. Like, same with Kyle Busch. This is another guy that hasn't been doing too well, but his track history is absolutely on point. Martin Truex Jr. average finish of 15 in his last 6 races with a win. 155 laps led. Just hasn't been doing the best as of late, but looking at his track history, 2 wins in his last 3 races here. 326 laps led, which is the best on the slate by far, and then a driver rating of 125.1. He's great at these 1.5 mile tracks. That's what he's known for, being great at these 1.5 mile tracks. I think it's a good play. 9,200 is so cheap for Martin Truex Jr. He's almost a core play for me if he would have a little bit of that form, if he would show a little promise in that form. But now's the track to succeed, and I do think he can. Starting ninth, you're gonna have some place differential. I don't really see him finishing worse than ninth. I can only see him moving up, and I would not be surprised at all if we did see him dominate as well. So I like Truex quite a bit. Borderline core play here, especially at that price. Brad Keselowski starting 9,000. First of all, he's very cheap. Definitely going to be a GPP play of mine. Another guy, not the best track history. Average finish of 20.67. He did have a finish of 39th in that as well. Best finish being 3rd. And then looking at his career history here, he has 3 wins. So he has succeeded here. Not recently, but he has in his career with an average finish of 12.3. And 524 laps led, which is the second best. So track career is really on point here with Keselowski. Not recently, but he has been good here before. Looking at the track type history, Keselowski average finish of 10.9 in his last 43 races on these 1.5 mile tracks with 6 wins, 18 top 5s, 28 top 10s, 38 top 20s, 682 laps led. This is just another guy that can dominate. He really can. Looking at the current form here, Brad Keselowski average finish of 9.3, 2 top 5s, 19 laps led in his past 6 races. He's more than capable of leading laps, and that's why I'm probably going to have some of them. 9,000 just way too cheap, and he has had some success here in the past, so worth a shot at Keselowski 9,000. Jimmy Johnson 8,800. Not really interested. I think he can do okay, maybe move up some spots. Don't see him dominating for sure. Maybe a top 10. I don't know. Don't really love it, but he's fine. William Byron starting 21. Byron's been really good. Looking at his current form here, average finish of 12.67 in his last 6 races with 3 top 10s. I've been liking what I've been seeing from Byron. He's starting 21st. I can definitely see a top 10 here. He has not been the best at this track, finishes of 18 and 20, but he's been really good. 8,600. I'm willing to take a shot. Now we're getting into Erik Jones, someone who probably broke all of our hearts last week. Fantastic play last week, ended up wrecking. Seems to be kind of a reoccurring theme with Jones as of late, but when he's not wrecking, he's doing fantastic. He is very good here. Average finish of 5.3 in his last 3 races at this track, with his best finish being 3rd, his worst finish being 7th. He's a fantastic play. 8,400, starting 16th. I think he can only move up. I think there's top 10 upside. He's had 3 top 10s in all 3 of his races in his career. I think is a great play as long as he stays out of trouble. He's been having the worst luck. But I'm going to have a decent amount of him and hope people kind of stay off of him because he has been having that bad luck on him. Tyler Redick, 8,200, another core play of mine. Starting 24th. We're going to take a look at his current form here. Average finish of 18.83 in his last 6 races. But we're going to look at the track type history here for Redick. Average finish of 11.1 in 8 races with 4 top 10s in 8 races. So half the time he's finishing in the top 10. I think there's some good upside for Redick here. Starting 24th, a top 10 would make him on the optimal lineup. And by the way, I didn't go over this, but yellow means GPP, green means core play, and then we'll get to it in a sec. Red means fade, and then orange means punt. So I forgot to mention that, but Matt Kenseth, someone who I was pretty high on last week. I was saying it week after week. One of these days, Matt Kenseth is going to pop off. He's in great equipment. One of these days, he's going to get a top 10 and end up on the optimal lineup. And last week was that week. Sadly, he was like 17% owned, so I guess I wasn't the only one on him last week. But maybe he's got it together. Fun fact, Matt Kenseth has actually won here before. That's really interesting there. 8,000, starting 17th. Yeah, probably going to have some Matt Kenseth. I think he's probably going to be a little bit lower owned than he was last week. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe people are going to have more confidence in him, but maybe that's what he needed last week. He needed to break out of the slump. He's in great equipment. Like I said, he won here before. Would not be surprised if he got another great finish here at 8,000. I'm willing to take a shot on Matt Kenseth. MBD, don't hate it. Could see a top 10. He's been driving really well. This is more like probably a low ownership play. MBD. Nobody's probably going to play him starting 10th. 7,800 with a bunch of good plays around him. Looking at his current form here, MBD average finish of 14 with 2 top 10s in his last 6 races. He's not an awful play. I'd just rather go elsewhere, but he's definitely going to be lower owned. Kurt Busch, 7,600. First of all, the price is very intriguing there for a guy that has won here. He has led 86 laps in his past 3 races. He did have did not finish where he finished 30th. Yeah, I don't hate it, especially just because of the price. I think he can do decent here. He has 2 top 5s in his last 9 races in his career here, and 6 top 10s. So like 6 out of 9 times he's finishing in that top 10 at this track. So I don't hate it. Maybe he can squeak out of a top 5, and it could be enough to get in the optimal lineup at that cheap price. So yeah, definitely somebody I'm looking at. Alex Bowman, starting 5th. Don't really love it. Probably borderline fade for me. Not the best history. Best finish being 17. Starting 5th, I don't think there's much upside. Don't see him really finishing inside the top 5. Maybe he does, but I don't really see it happening. Probably going to have a limited exposure of Alex Bowman. Aric Almirola starting 4th. We got to pull up his current form. He's been doing really, really good. Almirola, average finish at 8.67, which is the best on the slate. Like, that's crazy. 5 top 5s. So we got to pull this up. Like, he's been doing very good. 84 laps led, too, which we don't really see that too often from Almirola. So 7,300 kind of feels like the Kurt Busch play where I do think he could finish in that top 5. He has 5 out of the 6 past races. He has finished 8th here before. And yeah, don't hate it. Nobody's probably going to play him starting 4th. 7,300, if he gets to top 5, could be enough to get in the optimal lineup. Obviously, he's probably not going to dominate, but still, I mean, I think he has some pretty good upside at low ownership. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., not interested. Starting 14th, average finish of 17.3, his best finish being 12th in his last 3 races. Don't really like this play that much. Starting 14th, maybe gets a top 10, just don't really see that happening. In 7 races, Ricky Stenhouse has not finished inside the top 10, so that's kind of what we want. Starting 14th, don't really see much upside there. Bubba Wallace, another guy who has been very, very good. Look at his current form here, 14.8, which is very good for Bubba Wallace, with 5 top 20s in his last 6 races as well. So starting 18th, don't hate it at all. I do like that price of 7,000 for how good he's been racing. Would not be surprised if we saw like a sneaky top 10 in here for Bubba Wallace. He's been racing very, very well. Cole Custer, another guy who's been doing pretty decent, starting 29th, 6,900. DraftKings priced him up a little bit here, but I'm still going to play a decent amount of him. I think is a fine play here. We will take a look at the track type history here. Cole Custer, 8 races, average finish of 21, 4 top 20s. So I do think, he definitely can get a top 20. He has a top 20, 4 out of his last 8 races at these intermediate tracks here. So, yeah, don't mind Cole Custer, 6,900. Dillon, I think, is a little bit overpriced, but he's okay. Starting 33, he's only going to move up. I think it's safe, but he's not going to win you a GPP. Austin Dillon, someone who has been doing very good as of late. Starting 19th, not the best history, but 6,500. He's been doing very good lately. We'll take a look at his current form. Austin Dillon, average finish of 22.3. I think he's crashed out his last 2 races, but before that, he had 4 top 20s, I believe. And he was looking really good before his past 2 races. He was looking great. Maybe he gets back to that. As long as he's not wrecking, he was looking really good. So 6,500, nobody's probably going to play him. I think is a decent play. Suarez starting 37th. DraftKings is finally catching on that we are not going to play Suarez unless they price him accordingly. And still a little bit high there, so not going to have much Suarez, especially when you can have the guys below him. Suarez is, it's probably safe play, but he's not going to win you a GPP. Ryan Preece, 6,300. Finished 21st, his only race here, starting 32. If he does that again, that'd be great at 6,300. We will take a look at his track type history in the last 2 years. Ryan Preece, 19 races, average finish of 25.7. 2 top 20s in 19 races at these intermediate tracks. Don't love it. I'd rather go down and play, I'll get to him in a second, but Newman, McDowell. But Preece is fine. I think he's safe. I think there is some upside here. He's finished 21st, like I said. I think he's going to be an all right play. Ryan Newman, starting 23. First of all, I don't understand why he's priced at 6,100. That's just crazy. I mean, he wrecked out his last race. He was a great play last race, I believe, but ended up wrecking out pretty early, I think. And then average finish of 17.3 in his last 3 races here. Best finish being 9th. Starting 23rd, Ryan Newman has been very good besides the last race where he did wreck out. Average finish at 22.17 with 3 top 20s there. Yeah, I don't mind Ryan Newman, especially at that price. Like if he's getting a top 20, even at that price, that'd be fine to me. Buescher starting 13th, not interested. McDowell starting 30th. This guy has been on fire. We're not even going to look at his track type history. It's been about average finish at 24, which is actually decent for where he's starting 30th. But we're going to look at his current form. McDowell has been fantastic. Average finish of 17 in his last 6 races with 2 top 10s. 2 top 10s and 5 top 20s. Insane. He's been insane. He's probably one of my favorite plays down here for sure. 5,700 is way too cheap. He's only going to move up. He has upside. I like him in cash. I like him in GPP. I'm going to have a lot of Michael McDowell. Corey LaJoie starting 27th, not interested. I think he's probably going to finish around 25th. John Hunter Nemechek starting 22nd, 5,300 is very cheap. This is probably the lowest I'll go on the slate, but I mean it's worth a shot as a pump play. He has 1 top 10 in his last 6 races, 4 top 20s in his last 6 races. Average finish of 18.3 in his last 6 races as well. If he finishes 18th, starting 22nd, 5,300, that could be enough to get on the optimal lineup, depending on how many dominators we got, depending on how these other guys do, McDowell, Newman, Preece. It's worth the shot, and I don't usually play him because DraftKings usually prices him up a little bit too much for my liking, and usually starts up a little bit closer than I'd like. But starting 22, it's for sure worth a shot at that price. But that's all I got for you guys. If this video helped you out at all, make sure you give it a like. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. Really appreciate that. It really helps me out. If you guys are into MMA, I posted a lot of MMA content. Biggest MMA card of the year. Check out my Patreon, $5 a month. Best price out there. We got the track history, all the stats you need to be successful in DFS. Also the $15 a month for the all sports access. Great value there. And yeah, let's bounce back from that very weird race and let's win some money this week at Kentucky.